Hi. Sorry, my friend just sent me something funny. Hi, everybody. Welcome to. It was an appropriate pick. No, I'm kidding. It was not. I'm totally kidding. Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of I'm Reviewing Here, a podcast where I, Matthew Bussey, watch and review sight and sound top greatest movies of all time. You may hear some noise in this episode. Can you hear it? Can you hear it? Can you hear it? Can you hear the music? No, there's no music. I am cooking chicken right now because it is late Sunday and I did not have time to record this afternoon. So I am back in my apartment, ready to begin the week, and I am on fire right now. No, yes, so you're going to hear some chicken cooking. And you're gonna hear, well, the chicken's already dead, but you know what I mean. You're gonna hear the oven, okay? And you're also gonna hear some chair squeaking because my chair always squeaks. And you may hear a little bit of my tummy going because I am starving my butt. No one ever. There's no quote for that. Starving what? Starving my what off? Starving my stomach off? Nobody ever says that. I'm gonna get into the mood, but I really, really want to say that something really weird is happening, you guys. One of the movies from last year that I reviewed, I remember the week I was watching that movie, I was really obsessed with the Terminator. I like the Terminator movies a lot. The first three, the rest, no, not so much. But I was really into them, and I couldn't explain it. Subconsciously, I could not explain it for the life of me. Where's Freud when you need him, you know? Hello, Freud? Not there. Boom? No, not there. So, boom as in, I'm a magician, you know, Wingardium Leviosa, blah, blah. But, no, so yeah, that happened randomly, and guess what? This week, I'm obsessed again. I keep watching the Terminator, the first one. What's wrong with me? Can somebody please explain to me what is wrong with me? I don't get it. What is going on? Why with this podcast do I keep watching the Terminator? I do not stand. It's so bizarre. The Terminator isn't even on this list, so I can't even talk about it. God damn it. Great, amazing movie, though. Go check it out. I mean, it's cheesy, but it's so delightfully, deliciously cheesy. Robots. I love robots so much. Even the bad ones. Anyway, today, though, we're going to talk about a silent movie. Did you get what I was doing there? Because I was being silent. Yeah. Wouldn't it be interesting if I reviewed a silent movie but didn't talk? Yeah. So yes, this is a silent movie. It is one that I had never heard of before. I loved it. I thought it was an excellent movie. Very dark, but oddly very realistic, you know, and kind of really well done on a production level, and I recommend that you all see it. It's very early. It's a very early 1920s movie. It came out in 1924. I know some of you listening may not be into silent movies, and you should be in jail. No, I'm kidding. Definitely, I always say this. I know I'm redundant, but give silent movies a shot. Try to watch one every now and again. These are the movies that they're very primitive, I know, but these are the births of film. I mean, we wouldn't have films today if we didn't have silent movies, you know? So, yeah. Stop crying. No. Okay, the movie I'm going to review is called Greed. Not Creed, not that movie. Greed, with a G. listen to that music with all that talking. Just kidding. That joke has got to stop. But why do I keep doing that? God damn it. Ow. I feel like I'm in corral every time I listen to that music. Anytime I watch any old silent movie and I close my eyes, it's always, it's like, yeah, it's really good. So Greed, holy hell. That also makes it sound like a very happy movie. This isn't really a happy movie. I know, sorry, text that my friends agree it's not a happy movie. But this is a little long. It's a little over 2 hours, and it is very black and white. I know that. But I think overall it's just a great movie, great script. The script, I think, is the one thing about this film that to this day is very, very relevant and appealing and believable, you know? It was directed and written by this actor named Erich von Stroheim. Erich von Stroheim was an Austrian-American director and actor. Greed is his most famous movie as a director. He is kind of, in my opinion, more famous for starring in Sunset Boulevard, a very famous 1950 movie by Billy Wilder, starring William Holden. Very, very noirish thriller classic. If you've ever heard, if you've ever seen Mrs. Doubtfire, remember when Robin Williams is getting, he's getting makeup put on him and he goes, "I'm ready for my close-up, Mr. DeMille." That is a quote from Sunset Boulevard. It's most famous for that line. Very famous movie. But yeah, I didn't know he was a director, and I recognized his name when I, was reading up about this film, but he had a really great visual eye. And when I get into the production history of this movie, he was a very daring professional man. He knew how to make a movie. He knew how to push boundaries and not make a lazy movie, but make a movie with a lot of effort, because those movies are the best. So Greed was based on a book called McTeague by a man named Frank Norris. It came out in 1899. I'll get into, again, at the end, I'll get into the history of the making of this film, because it is pretty impressive. But what stood out for me in this movie was, I think, the main theme of this movie is money. It's called Greed. It's about money. Money sucks ass in this film, and in real life. But in this film, it is the enemy. I love movies about greed. I love movies where they are about how money will never get you anywhere. We love it. We can buy things with it. We can buy some lipstick, some Kit Kats or whatever. But it doesn't help in the long run. It just doesn't. And I really like that about Greed. Greed is a movie all about that. It's got very compelling characters. It's got a very compelling lead character. And it's just a very well done movie, period. Very, very well done. And I'm really happy that I saw it. Yeah. Greed. I'm greedy for greed. Please remind me to shut up when I talk. Please do. Yeah. And I can't hear you, but just shout it and I'll hear it, telepathically, I guess.
Plots and ups.
So also, I forgot to say, Greed. I love The Treasure of the Sierra Madre. That's like one of my favorite movies. Came out in 1948, starring Humphrey Bogart. It's a movie that takes this theory that money is dangerous 50 steps further and turns it into a murder film. And really, really good. I really hope that's on this list, because I have not seen that in so long and I'm dying to rewatch it. Anyway, Greed. It's 1908. John McTeague works in a gold mine in Placer County, California. John McTeague is played by this actor named Gibson Gowland. He was an English actor. A traveling dentist calling himself Dr. I love this. Dr. Painless Potter, painless is in quotes, visits the town, and McTeague's mother begs Potter to take her son on as an apprentice. Potter agrees, and McTeague eventually becomes a dentist, practicing on Polk Street in San Francisco. Polk, P-O-L-K. Polk. Marcus Schuler, he is played by Gene Hershaw. Ooh, let me get to Gene Hershaw in a second. Brings Trina Seppi, I don't know how you say her name because the movie was silent. His cousin and intended fiancé. Ew, yeah, I forgot about that. Into McTeague's office for dental work. Now, Gene Hershaw was a very famous actor and humanitarian, and he was such a famous humanitarian that there is an award that they give out at the Oscars called the Gene Hershaw Humanitarian Award. You may have heard of it. Google it. It's all thanks to this man. He was Danish-American, and just random fact, I like to state people's nationalities. And Trina is played by this actor named Zasu Pitts. Zasu Pitts, no relation to Brad Pitts, because Brad Pitt was singular. So Marcus comes into the picture. He's supposed to marry Trina, his cousin, and it's so weird how that was like okay, and it's still kind of considered to be okay. But anyway, that's the guy. That's not. If you're married to your cousin, I'm sorry, shade. But I mean, no shade. I mean, sorry, I don't mean anything. Okay. As Trina and Marcus wait for an opening, Trina buys a lottery ticket. McTeague becomes enamored with Trina and begs Schuler for permission to court her. After seeing McTeague's conviction, Schuler agrees. Trina eventually agrees to marry McTeague, and shortly afterwards, her lottery ticket wins her $5,000. It's 1908, remember? $5,000 is like a friggin' million dollars. Trillions, you know? Yeah, even more. Schuler bitterly claims that the money should have been his, causing a rift between him and McTeague. After McTeague and Trina wed, they continue to live in their small apartment, with Trina refusing to spend her $5,000. So she doesn't want to spend it. Trina is very much someone who's like, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I'm not going to just go and spend it right away right now. You know, our apartment, whatever, our living condition isn't great, but, you know, it is livable. We're not dying or anything. We can, you know, let's just wait. Let's wait a little bit. That's really important to remember. And Schuler is out of the picture now, and Schuler is like, oh, shit, I just gave you away to this dentist, and I was supposed to marry you, and now the dentist and you are going to be really rich. Yeah, big mistake. Schuler leaves San Francisco to become a cattle rancher. Before he goes, he secretly, in order to ruin his former friend, reports McTeague for practicing dentistry without a license. McTeague is ordered to shut down his practice or face jail. Even though she has saved over $200, in addition to the original $5,000 from the lottery ticket, Trina is still unwilling to spend her money. Trina, why? Money becomes increasingly scarce, with the couple forced to sell their possessions. McTeague finally snaps and bites Trina's fingers in a fit of rage. Oh, this was a dark moment. Later, he goes fishing to earn money, taking Trina's savings, now totaling $450. Trina's bitten fingers become infected and have to be amputated. To earn money, she becomes a janitor at a children's school. She withdraws the $5,000 from the bank to keep it close to her, eventually spreading it on her bed so she can sleep on it. Ugh, why don't do that. McTeague then returns, having spent the money he took, and asks Trina for more. The following day, McTeague confronts Trina at the school. After a heated argument, McTeague beats Trina to death and steals her $5,000. This is all real. Yeah, this happens in the movie. I'm not making it up. And yeah, I told you this is a very, very twisted, dark drama. Now, you may be wondering, why does Trina not give the money to McTeague, after he loses his job? Well, I think Trina's smart, and she knows that McTeague is not a good guy. I mean, there's a moment in the beginning of this movie where you see McTeague, in the mine, in the gold mine, that is, and he's carrying this big, truck of gold mine, whatever. Gold. I'm sorry, I don't know gold. I don't know mines at all. I've seen one movie about mines, October Sky, and that's the only thing I know about it, and that wasn't even in California. There's this scene in the very opening sequence where, yeah, he's walking with all this gold, and there's this coworker who comes, and the coworker tries to touch the gold, and McTeague picks up the guy like King Kong and throws him over this cliff down this hill, and the guy just lands in this small puddle of water and is magically not dead, and just looks at McTeague and is like, flipping him off with his eyes. And McTeague is just, yeah, don't touch my money, I'm gonna, yeah. So McTeague is, he's a dangerous guy to begin with, and I think Trina is very smart. And what's so sad in the movie is that, her marriage to this guy ends in her, losing her fingers, and then losing her life. So now an outlaw, McTeague returns to Placer County and teams up with a prospector named Cribbins. Headed towards Death Valley, they find a large quantity of quartz and plan to become millionaires. Before they can begin mining, McTeague senses danger and flees into Death Valley with a single horse, the remaining money, and one water jug. Several Marshes pursue him, joined by Schuler. Schuler, so he's like out for revenge, wants to catch McTeague personally and rides into Death Valley alone. The oppressive heat slows McTeague's progress. Schuler's progress is also beginning to wane when he spies McTeague and moves in to arrest him. After a confrontation, McTeague's horse bolts, and Schuler shoots it, puncturing the water container. Sad that the horse dies, and the water, but more so the horse. The water spills onto the desert floor. The pair fight one last time, with McTeague proving the victor. However, Schuler has handcuffed himself to McTeague. The film ends with McTeague left in the desert with no horse and no water, handcuffed to a corpse and unable to reach the remaining money. McTeague, you fucked up. The end. Woof. Woof, 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 woof. Yeah. Greed, this is a very, very violent, bleak movie. And I think that's why it was really kind of... I can only imagine this must have been kind of controversial when it came out, just because of how vicious, McTeague is as a person, and Schuler as well. I mean, these are guys who have nothing to lose except get this money and potentially kill people in the way, and that's it. It's crazy. I think it's really interesting and daring to have a movie so old like this feature characters so despicable. I'm interested in reading this book, McTeague, that it's based off of. I probably will not get through it because I cannot read old books to save my life. And I cannot do it. I could barely even get through friggin' 1984. That's not even an old book. I think, what is most impressive about this movie is the story. Sad story. Its message. Money will drive you crazy. Timeless, very timeless message. Money still drives people crazy. I mean, Bernie Madoff, hello. And also, von Stroheim has a good visual eye. There's the birds in this movie. The birds are a big part in this movie. McTeague has a cage of these two birds that he keeps with them. And in the very last shot, McTeague has killed Schuler, can't reach the money, and he's handcuffed to Schuler, who's now dead, and is in the middle of Death Valley desert with him and a dead horse, and is basically, he has to face his fate and just go, okay, I am literally screwed. And there's this really intriguing moment where McTeague picks up the bird cage, goes in, pulls out a bird. I think there's only one bird. Did I say two? I think there's only one. I forget. He pulls the bird out and then looks at the bird and, is holding it in his hand. And then he just releases the bird and the bird flies away. I think maybe it's a metaphor. I think the birds in this film, the bird, in this film is kind of, well, it's a metaphor for being trapped. I think, McTeague is someone who has felt trapped in this horrible land with no money and anything for so long. And I think maybe the bird is maybe some kind of animal metaphor for, I don't know why it made me laugh, I'm sorry. Maybe that the bird is kind of a metaphor for McTeague's sort of innocence, that kind of inner child in him, that version of feeling trapped, and I think that is why my friends agree. I think that is why, him releasing it at the end, it's really him just going, I gotta just let go, there's no point anymore. And I hope that makes sense. That sounds a little wishy-washy the way I said it, but yeah, symbolism, metaphors. I love those in movies, and von Stroheim has that here, and the shots are very dark, not literally. I mean, the shots in the moments are very, very dark. The scene with him biting the fingers, Trina's fingers, is really disturbing. But there's another scene with the bird that I really liked, where the bird's cage is in the dentist's office, and there's this quick moment where this cat, jumps in the air and attaches itself to the cage and is trying to get the bird out, and the cage just swinging back and forth, and McTeague, shoos the cat away, and you just see the cage rattling back and forth, and it's good. There's imagery in this film that I'm still thinking about, and I really, really was very surprised and really liked this movie a lot. BTS Secrets and Scandals! This is pretty crazy, the history of this movie. Okay, so first of all, it was MGM's first feature-length film. That's a huge-ass deal. MGM, with the lion, that's MGM. It was also the first film to be shot in its entirety on location. And it took 2 full years to shoot. Hot damn. Now, this was all filmed in California, so it's not like that big a deal, because everything in Hollywood was filmed in California. But this, was an early-ass movie. This was 1924, and it was entirely shot on location. So, definitely has status as that. Not only, this is crazy, did the studio order the director to cut the movie back from his intended 4.5 hours to around 2 hours. This movie was meant to be 4.5 hours. They also burned the unused film reels in order to extract the expensive silver nitrate from it for recycling. I don't know if that's totally a cool fact, but yeah, this happened with Nosferatu as well, that movie from a few episodes ago. The studio burned the movie because they were like, you're not going to make this movie that long, shut up. Although, however, an extended version of the movie, which is 239 minutes, was created in 1999 by using still photographs in the place of scenes that were cut, a complete version was simply not possible because most of the original film is now considered lost. So I did not watch the 239-minute version of this film. I watched just the regular 2 hour, 10 minute. It was like 2 hour and 10 minutes long. But you can watch the full version. It is somewhere. I do believe it's on YouTube, but it's still photographs. If you've ever seen A Star Is Born, the Judy Garland version, it's kind of sad. I could barely make it through that movie because I couldn't take the still photograph. The still photographs was so distracting. It just didn't feel like a movie anymore. But it's life. Old movies, they don't always survive. It sucks. Erich von Stroheim also claimed that the studio pressured him to shoot an extension of the ending, which would reveal that all of the tragic events had simply been a bad dream of McTeague. Naturally, the director balked at such a proposition, and the new ending was never shot. Good for you, von Stroheim, because that is a terrible ending. It's all a dream. Oh, God. You know why that's a terrible ending? Because, what would have been a terrible ending? Because that's such a cop-out. It was only a dream. It's just such a cop-out. I hate when they do that in movies. It's like, it was cool the first time. It's not cool anymore. Greed takes place at the turn of the century, although a year or range of years is never actually specified. Now, I know in the beginning of the plot synop, I did say 1809. What did I say? 1908. I'm sorry. I think, you kind of figure that out a little bit from the movie just by... Well, here, let me explain it. Okay. As such, the characters wear period-appropriate clothes. The locations and lack of cars in the street scenes reflect an era that was still reliant on horse and buggy transportation. And characters consume alcohol openly in restaurants and saloons, not in speakeasies, as they would have if the film had been set in its present day. So this is kind of interesting. This kind of adds to this layer of realism and greed, and that I think to this day why it is considered to be such a masterpiece, because the setting of the film is not really clear, actually. You know, it's obviously old by the costumes and everything, but this adds to, I think, what von Stroheim is trying to say, which is that, you know, till the end of time, money and greed, it will forever kill people, you know? Not just in this period, but throughout the history and time, it will happen. I don't know why I'm talking like that. I'm sorry. But that's interesting. I don't know if maybe von Stroheim planned to do that when he, you know, edited this movie, but it's very effective. I like that. Greed also features one of the earliest uses of a hidden camera in filmmaking. When Trina, in the scene when Trina leaves the junk shop after discovering the dead body, she rushes. I forgot about the scene. She rushes into a real street and into real passers-by who were unaware that they were being filmed. A crowd gathered, police turned up to the scene, and it is said that a reporter called in the murder to his editor. So they all thought that this was a real murder that had happened, you know, in real life. And it wasn't. They was just part of a movie. But isn't that funny? Yeah. Hidden camera, man. Candy camera. You know, for the longest time, I thought it was candy camera. They really did shoot this movie in Death Valley, much to the disagreement and chagrin of MGM. MGM did not want von Stroheim to shoot in Death Valley because it's dangerous and there are snakes and a very, very hot sun. Gene Hershot was, this was so intense that Gene Hershot was hospitalized after he lost 27 pounds during the filming of the movie's climax in Death Valley. So that's all real. That sequence in Death Valley, the sequences in Death Valley, all shot on location. Gene Hershot had to go to the hospital. All real. Von Stroheim went for realism, and he delivered. The best moment. The scene at the very end when he releases the bird. I like that. That stuck with me the most. Yeah, you know me. I like metaphors. I like symbolism. The end. That's just, yeah. That's it. Cool. And it's just, I mean, look, I won't repeat it as well, but I'm going to. I love it because, you know, it does, I love, that is a true example of how to write a great screenplay. You know, when you have the character who could be unlikable or likable do something that kind of redeems them in a weird sense. You know, I love when movies do that. And this one does it very well. Mais est-ce que je suis d'accord avec les critiques de ce film? Let me see. I got to get my notes up here. So, Meyer Levin, Patterson Murphy, what's their name? I don't know what I wrote. From Esquire magazine said, Greed, von Stroheim's epic, broke the ground for realism. Indeed it did. Shot on location. Jeff Andrew from Time Out said, even now, its relentlessly cynical portrait of physical and moral squalor retains the ability to shock, while the von Stroheim, that is, obsessive attention to realist detail is never prosaic. I don't know what prosaic means, but I do agree. It's real. It's very real. That's what I meant to say. I'm sorry. And it is a very cynical movie. It is a very cynical movie, and that makes it for a very uneasy watch, but in a good way. Robert E. Sherwood from Life says, ferocity, brutality, muscle, vulgarity, crudity, naked realism, and sheer genius are to be found, great hunks of them, in von Stroheim's production. It is a terribly powerful picture and an important one. Amen, Robert. It is important. It is important. I really hope more people learn about this movie because I'd never heard of it before, and I'm a movie freak. Alberto Abuin from Espinoff said, "Greed is realistic. I know that's like the word of the hour here. Greed is realistic cinema many years before the Nouvelle Vague appeared, the French New Wave, with Stroheim delving into the human soul as only he knew how to do, bringing out the worst and also the best of people." Yeah, I really like that. This is a movie that does do that. He really does, von Stroheim really does go into the darkest places of people's minds and hearts and yanks it out and shows it on screen. You know, and for a movie this early, 1920 friggin' 4, that's impressive. Is it really one of the best movies of all time? Yeah, I think it is. I'm going to say yes. You know why? It was ahead of its time. It has a great story. It's incredibly shot. It is ahead of its time, both in the fact that it was shot on location and, to give it a more realistic sense, the fact that the message is still relevant all these years later, the fact that it was such a daring accomplishment to show feature characters who were just so, evil. I think that is, evil is a big word. I'd say screwed up is maybe the nicer word, but they do evil things. Yeah, McTeague, don't kill your wife. Please don't kill your wife. I mean, that's kind of like the sad, tragic thing about this movie is Trina, but and her fate in this film. But yeah, man, I'm gonna say yes. I love this movie. I really, really was very impressed with it, and I think it's one of the best. Check it out if you can. Check out silent films, support silent films, support people if they are silent too, because it's okay to be quiet, it's okay to be shy, I and BD. Thank you all for tuning into this episode. I will see you next time, and in the meantime, get your ass off the couch and go to the goddamn movies, okay? Go and see an independent film, okay? I don't care if you're scared or if you're going to be bored. Get some popcorn, get some coffee, get some caffeine, and chug that down, okay? Get a shot of vodka or whatever before you go in. Actually, don't do that because that might affect how you react to the movie that you're going to go see. I lied. Don't do that. Don't get drunk and go see movies. I hate when people do that. It's such a stupid thing to do. The directors do not want you to be drunk and go see this movie. I mean, some of them do, but not until years later, okay? So just go to the movies. Come on. Make your man happy and go to the movies. Your man as being me. Yeah. There's no joke there. I'm sorry. I got nothing. Goodbye. Oh, you made it. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of I'm Reviewing Here. New episodes drop Tuesdays and Fridays. You can get this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. Feel free to follow me on Instagram at I'm Reviewing Here. You can also subscribe on YouTube. New episodes drop there the same day they drop on the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe. Please leave a review if you'd like. Be mean, be nice, hit on me. I don't really care. Candor really, really is important to me, and, it helps the podcast too. So I really hope you enjoyed it. This podcast is brought to you especially by Nervous Chuckles. That is my fake production company because I make people nervously chuckle all the time because they never know if I'm telling a joke or not. So they're always like, do I laugh? Do I not laugh? Is he serious? Is he insane? Did he get out of the loony? What's going on? So if I made you nervously chuckle, then that means that I did my job, and thank you. There is no funding for this podcast, but if you want to give me money, then, hit me up. DM me. Bye-bye.